In today's episode, we want to let you guys know that No Filter is going to the radio. XFM 102.7 from 10 in the morning to 12 p.m. You can hang out with me and Shark. We're going to be doing a bunch of giveaways, playing different kinds of music, fun games, just an overall good time. So tune in on Saturday, 10 a.m. Enjoy the episode.
Even in August 2025, sent a
She came with the receipts today.
I came receipts.
I'm like,
Hold
what?
up. Timeline from 2018 to 2025, the hotel visitor nights only grew by 2%. The hotel rooms grew by 20%. The visitor nights grew by 91%.
San Nicolas Main Street is empty. Every other district has no activities other than Airbnb. Is it really that full, overcrowded with tourists, or is it concentrated in areas because there is nothing else?
This is a lot to unpack.
I know,
I
sorry.
know. No, we're touching.
It's a big topic. It's a big topic.
It
It
is.
really
It
is.
Yeah.
And it affects
Everybody.
Your dad. If your dad was alive today, what would he say about where Aruba is right now? But then I'm thinking about Omar Steve right now. And that like contradict a little bit with capitalism. Like everybody deserves a fair opportunity.
I do believe in free market, but I do believe that you can design what you want your island to look like. But it's a huge investment to do that, right? That's what people don't appreciate about investors. They're risking their own money, right? They're putting a bunch of money into something and waiting to see if that turns
not
into
knowing if
profit.
it's gonna work or not.
Yeah, exactly.
I like what you just said just now. It takes a long time just to build attraction, but it's an instant to lose everything. Hey, yo, what's up?
I like chemists.
Guys, welcome back to the ABC Islands Favorite Podcast, No Filter in Paradise, a show about literally anything and everything between two friends. One is straight and the other.
Your favorite black homosexuals, baby.
Are you sure you're the favorite?
I am. Who else is everybody's
Did
favorite?
you do a poll, a
That's
survey?
not needed. That's not needed. That
you
is
sure?
for Carnival and them people with their nonsense. Ain't nobody gonna need no damn poll to figure out if Shark is your favorite. Like, what? Bye.
All right, guys. So today we have a special guest, somebody who's not unfamiliar, somebody who's been on the show before a while ago.
Welcome back.
And it's welcome back, Miss
you.
Tisa, LaSorte. LaSorte, right?
LaSorte, Enriquez.
I know.
Let's get
Because sometimes
it.
people say LaSorte.
That's right. A lot of people say LaSorte. I don't even correct them anymore.
You corrected me one time, so
I did good. That's probably because you have to go on stage and say my name.
Yes.
In
Don't
front
mess
of
it up.
In front of correct
Right.
people.
Don't mess it up. Tisa, how you been?
Good.
How's everything since the last time we spoke was almost 3 years ago?
Crazy.
2.5 years ago we spoke?
So much has happened, but it's been a blur.
Legit.
Yeah.
So where do we start? I mean, obviously a big issue right now on the island, as you can see everywhere, is mass tourism. A lot of flights coming in, a lot of flights going out, a lot of buildings going up, hotels, Airbnbs. Like, I don't even know where to start.
Well, I think that that's an interesting place to start in the sense that I sometimes feel like we need to make sure that people have the correct information.
Amen.
And because there are a lot of emotions attached to it, understandably, right? Because people feel like it's grown, tourism especially has grown so much, developed so much, that, a lot of locals start feeling like, it's out of control and, we've lost
100%.
we've lost our island,
Our
we've lost
culture,
our
identity.
beaches, we've lost our culture. So there's a lot of that sentiment out there, understandably. So I just want to make sure, though, that people have the right information, right? So and the first thing is from Ahata's point of view, sort of we agree, right, that there's been sort of this uncontrolled development. So let's give a little bit of history for a second.
Yeah.
So in the 50s, mid to late 50s, is
go.
when the oil refinery was going to automate. And because of the automation, thousands of people were going to lose their jobs, right? So because of that, then you have no economy anymore, right?
Yeah.
So that's that at the government at the time, that included my father, by the way. So my father
Which
was
we're
key
gonna
in
touch on
this.
too. Yeah,
we
yeah.
will, we can.
Yeah.
My father and Juan Giroskin are known for the team. This my father's Oscar Henriquez. And they then therefore developed sort of what I call the foundation for tourism, right? So they had the boulevard, the LG Smith Boulevard they created the runway at the airport so commercial flights could land.
Wait, so they did
brought
all of
the
that?
first,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
they brought my father brought the first desalination plant for water to the
Wait,
island.
what?
They
This is interesting.
the runway, the first commercial hotel.
Where's the
things
statue?
like that. So yeah, thank you. Where's the statue?
That's crazy.
I agree.
Where's the statue?
It's in our heart.
I didn't know about this.
Yeah, a
not
lot of
know
This,
people,
this is news for me.
A lot of people, unfortunately, have forgotten. There's people still who remember what my dad has done, but not everybody. And it's not alone. He did it with Juancho Iroskin. But the point is, that's what happened sort of in the mid to late 50s. So that was like the foundation. Then in the 80s is when the second thing with the refinery happened, right? When it was going to shut down. So the government at that time then went into sort of this new, again, like, let's develop tourism to make up for the losses that you have from the refinery closing. So we're talking obviously job losses, tax revenue losses, right? Economic activity losses. So people sometimes don't know how to relate what that means when a refinery closes. Sorry.
You're fine.
So then in the 80s, what happened was they literally announced it. They literally called it uncontrolled growth. So if you go back in speeches from that time in the government, they
40 years ago,
literally
they already
called it, they literally called it uncontrolled growth. And at the time, it was the right thing to do, right? At the time, they needed to sort of jumpstart that economy back up. So they basically went to developers and said, please build hotels, please build hotels, please build hotels. So this was in the 80s, mid-80s. To late 80s,
and
which
this
included,
time-
by the way, the Prime Minister, Henry
I was
Eamon,
okay.
who's
I was
the
going to
brother.
ask who was in charge
Yes,
at the time, so we
the
know.
Prime Minister was Henry Eamon. So he's known for being a very fair leader, a very intelligent leader who listens to people.
Oh, clock it.
Yeah. And
also, like-
and it wasn't alone, right? He had other
Of
ministers,
course.
obviously.
I do want to, sorry, really quick.
yeah.
What was that movie that we saw in Casa Cultura?
Prime Ministers?
Minister.
The Prime Ministers?
Yeah.
Great movie, guys. If you haven't seen it, I don't know. One of where can you see it?
I don't. It was a one-time screening thing.
That's where I mostly learned about Hanny and everything he's done.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's a really good movie. Omar Harms.
Omar
He's the
Harms,
one that
yeah.
put it together.
Correct.
So shout
He
out to him.
produced it. Yeah.
So sorry, continue.
No, that's okay. So in the 80s, it was a conscious decision, correct? Right thing to do. Developers were asked, just please build, please build. So remember, we invited these developers to come build the hotel so you can create jobs, create economic activity, and therefore tax revenue. So I always say the reason you need a robust economy is so that you can have jobs and you can have a robust economy, commercial activity in the economy, and that then also generates taxes. And with those taxes, the government then can help solve social issues, right? So that's sort of, in my mind, is how I simplify the circle. So what didn't happen after the 80s when you had this development again of hotels, which, by the way, we should be grateful for. So that's why sometimes I got a little upset, because now that there's all this negativity towards tourism and hotels, they forget why they were invited to be here. And that when they invited them to be here, it was to help the island have an
Correct.
economy.
Which they did.
Otherwise,
and have
we won't have
jobs.
anything.
And we wouldn't have that right now. So it's sort of like if today you started, when we talk about agriculture, if today you said, I'm going to give a tax incentive to all these people so they can become farmers and we grow agriculture, and then 20 years from now we go, we hate you.
It's all your
Yeah,
fault.
Right?
yeah.
It's all your fault. So anyway, so that's one. But what didn't happen after the 80s is that then the next governments after that didn't then say, okay, now we no longer need uncontrolled growth. Right now we need a controlled
we
vision,
have.
plan. How do we want it? Where do we want it?
So basically,
And
basically what you're saying is since then till now, like, so we're still handing out.
Well,
And-
I don't know
well,
if they're still today.
What I mean is,
But they
like,
did, yeah.
they never put like hey, bank cap it at like 20, and everybody, even future government, needs to agree. Hey, but no vai mais, no vai 21, 22, 23.
For example.
Okay.
And then the other thing people need to understand, that hotels grew with permits. So if the hotel growth that happened, each of them had a permit from the government. So the same governments that now are saying we need to stop it, which, by the way, we don't disagree with, are the ones who actually gave these permits out, right?
Yeah.
So that's something to just keep in mind. And then know that where we stand today is that the hotels grew with government permits, but the vacation rentals did not. Vacation rentals, where we had this huge growth massive growth in the last years, that are not with permits, in the sense that they have like a hotel license or something like that was
Yeah,
officially
that's
given by the
true.
government. It just sort of happened, mushroom.
It kind of like happened not really. I was gonna say just like in the beginning with hotels, build, but in this case, it's not really the same thing, because it's not like we needed it. People just saw an opportunity, and everybody started building like crazy before the government could catch up. And
But I will say that there's a reason they exist, right? So I will defend the vacation rental sector in that sense, that there is the customer wanted it, right? The customer wants it, and if they offer a good product and good service, then there's a reason for them to exist. However, if you own a business like any other business,
Taxes.
you're supposed to have a license, you're supposed to pay taxes, you're supposed to pay commercial electricity rates, just like everybody else. So that's all we're saying. Is we're not saying there's not a reason for it to exist, but you may be able, if there's regulation and enforcement, you may be that way make sure that you're only dealing with the ones that have quality and are doing the right thing, and you maybe then are able to get rid of the ones that are not necessarily doing the right thing.
kind of
Correct?
like have a threshold. Like if you want to do an Airbnb in your backyard, go for it, but you need to meet these criterias.
That's an example of something you could decide.
Because otherwise it's a free for all. Anybody can build whatever they want. Hey, I have a beach shack that had the cartón.
Exactly, like a pallets or whatever.
Correct.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's where you want some control, just like hotels have to have, So that's all we're saying. So now we want to make sure we're clear. I want one more thing before I go.
Yeah.
So to illustrate the growth, I went back and I calculated what we call visitor nights, because what matters is how many nights the visitor stays, right? Because you can have 1 million people come for one night, or you can have 1 million come for 5 nights.
Yeah.
It's very different, right? So visitor nights is the end thing that actually matters. So I went to calculate 2018 versus 225. From 2018 to 2025, the hotel visitor nights only grew by 2%. The hotel rooms grew by 20%. But the visitor nights only grew by 2%. What that means is that more rooms, but the same amount of people are sharing the rooms. That's why occupancy is dropping, if you look at the statistics. Vacation rental, the visitor nights grew by 91%.
Oh, they?
91% versus 2%. So when you talk about masses, when you talk about too many people on the beaches, too many Jeeps on the road, too many UTVs, too many cars, too much bulk, that's where all the growth really, really came, right? So we need to know that. So all I'm saying is, again, everybody has a right to exist, right? Just you need to
100%.
follow the rules, follow the law, pay taxes, and you need to have vision, and you need to have a plan. So it needs to be regulated. It needs to happen according to a plan.
So you just mentioned that part. We were just on the radio on Saturday. We had the radio show, and somebody said they wanted to stay anonymous, but they sent this message. They said, anonymous and interesting topic for you. Is Aruba really overcrowded with tourists, or what we call mass tourism, or are our beaches crowded? Are our beaches crowded and concentrated in certain areas only because there is nothing else we can currently offer them?
Yeah.
Oranjestad's Main Street empty. San Nicolas Main Street is empty. Every other district has no activities other than Airbnb. So is it really that full and overcrowded with tourists, or is it concentrated in areas because there is nothing else
to do on the island?
I would say it's a little bit of all, meaning because I think a lot of people are also complaining that if you go to Alto Vista, for example, that there's too many buses and too many cars and too many. So there are certain spots that are of high demand, let's call it that, right? So it is true that most people that come to Aruba will come for the beaches till today. So that's what I mean with the plan. If you have a plan and a vision where you go, let's say we want to spread the people. We've been talking about that for years, by the way, about spreading the people. We've been talking about it for years. And there's like art murals now in San Nicolas, right? So the question is, is it a matter of who's coming to Aruba are only interested in beaches, or are we therefore maybe need to reconsider who we are attracting to come to Aruba? Is it that? Or is it just because when you come to the Caribbean, you come for the beach? And we can try as hard as we can to do other things. But many would tell you that there's also too many UTVs and too many cars, so that on the land, it's also too busy. Yeah. I'm hearing that feedback too.
Of course.
So I'm not sure that is the issue. I believe that at this point, when we talk about the volume of visitors, we do have a very large, that has also grown year to year. And that's why you're getting some of this negative reaction of, everything is too crowded, traffic gets jammed up, and the beaches are too crowded. People are fighting for palapas.
There's even traffic on Sasaki, like a line by the roundabout.
But then we also put it back on, like we've had this conversation on our marketing then, because these are the things that we specifically market is our Alta Vista. Oh, you have to visit our chapel, or hey, look at all of these beaches. Hey, look at all these type of things. And then now they're famous. So it's like you say, then the guests are now coming here and they're like, hey, where is this place? Hey, where is this thing? I saw this thing promoted.
It's a combination of things. I have to say that in the past years, the marketing has also tried to adapt. For example, that's why we have Auténtico, right? We're trying to promote ourselves as a culinary destination. Yeah. So some of the marketing has adapted to trying to get people, let's call them spread the people.
Of course.
But that is what I mean with, we're still a very tiny island. And so it's still about how many people can we have at the same time on the island. You know, if you have a day where you have 3 cruise ships all at the same time on the same day, plus you have all the people staying in the vacation rentals, plus the people staying at hotels, that's a lot of people all at once for a little island. So even if you're spreading them out, it's still a lot of people at the same time.
So then, I guess, based off of what we like to do here, we know what the problem is. What to you or to Ahata would a solution look like?
So conceptually, what we and again, this is easy to say, right? It's not going to be
course,
easy
no.
to do overnight. It's something that we need to discuss and come up with a plan. But
everybody
to
has to be-
simplify,
And everybody has to be on the same page together, you know, like
Correcto.
everybody has to agree because I feel like that's the biggest issue. You come up with a great idea, 2-3 people that are in the same room, like, and nobody ever comes to like a unity.
that's always hard, right? And the thing is that, yes, indeed, it would be nice if everybody was on the same page to do the right thing for the island. So when you talk about curbing, for example, volume, people get scared, when, like you're saying, because they're like, wait, what does that mean that my business won't grow? You know, then does that mean what happens to the jobs, right? But I think that what you want is for the economy still to grow, but to ease the pain that we're feeling from this sort of overmass sort of experience that we're having. So in our opinion, what you could do is what we call curbing the volume. So stop this growth in volume. And maybe make decisions like, you know, not 3 cruise ships on the same day, you know, limit how many come on a certain day. I'm not saying reducing how many come to the island necessarily, but just sort of spreading them out. The same concept of spreading them out.
Based on capacity.
right?
Like if there's a cruise ship
Yeah.
that's 5,000, okay, only one's enough. But if it's 3 of 1,000 each, we can, you know what I mean?
I would have said that too. I would have done it by passengers, but I
Yeah,
was told that
correct.
that's harder to do. That it's much easier to say ship. So either way, right? The
Yeah.
idea is to start making some decisions. They may seem, and some people may get scared, right? They're like, wait a minute, you know, I have a bus and this is my clientele. Are you telling me I'll have fewer clients? And
No, you're having clients every day.
Yes, so
the
that's
rest of the
what
month.
and I think we need to, and this comes for, you know, AHATA members too. We have 160 companies that are members, all kinds of different companies that depend on tourism somehow. And yes, it may be that short term you make a couple of painful decisions that have a long term positive effect for everybody. Because I believe that for tourism to do well and survive, because we do need tourism. We cannot forget that we do need tourism. But for it to do well, you need to try to avoid the negativity that it brings. And that's right now the negativity that people are feeling are overdevelopment and over tourism, right? Mass tourism. So if we can figure out how to curb that or reduce that pain, then you can save tourism, and then everybody benefits and has a long longevity in terms of success in the tourism.
Do you have any idea how, maybe? Like, do you have like a thought?
So I would say limit the volume, and then replace the lower spending visitor with a higher spending visitor. So the share of a higher spending visitor grows within that limit, and then the share of the lower spending visitor shrinks in such a strategy.
Yeah.
That way your economy can still grow,
So
right?
basically, your currency is the same, but the amount of people that come on the island is less. But the amount spent stay the same.
Or the opposite. So the amount of people is the same or maybe less, but the spending keeps growing.
Correct.
And that's your economy then keeps growing and keeps expanding. And remember, these are not absolute things. It's not like we're Disney World that you can have a door that just closes and nobody enters anymore. Right? Like you're number 21, you don't come in. It doesn't work that way, obviously. So I'm talking in very simplified terms, but you can do it with things like, you know, how many cruise ships, how many planes, you know, how many permits do you
types of
give out.
planes?
I was about to say, what
Yeah.
types of planes that come in? Like,
Also,
Even
with,
the cruise ships.
yes,
Ito
what
pa
type of
discrediting
customers do
na,
they
no?
have, right? Or do you allow the ones to come that have the right customer that you believe treats Aruba properly and spends the level you want them to spend? So that's an analysis that would need to take place because it's not as clear as people may
and
think.
I don't want to be like discriminating or anything, but like before, but you got a JetBlue coming in that's like a 500 round trip. Then you have a Spirit Airlines that's like 250 or 300. So you're kind of like, do you want to be attracting that kind of tourist to Aruba that's not going to be spending as much as somebody that pays like a JetBlue or what's another one? Delta, for example.
Yeah.
Is that something wrong to say? Or
No, I think it's about looking at the profile of their customer.
Yeah.
So it's not, you can necessarily determine it by the airline ticket, right?
Correct.
But you'd have to determine it by the profile of the customer of that airline, of that cruise ship, or the hotel, or the whoever, the vacation rental, right? So it's about which visitor do you have a preference for?
Yeah.
And how do you open the pathway for more of them to come and attract them via marketing, target them more via marketing, and then do that less and less towards the ones that you were least likely to
And
have
it's
visit.
still tricky because it's like you say, you can't say, hey, you can't come anymore.
Correct.
Or
Exactly.
you know, so then
We're hospitality.
Yeah.
because the some of the Airbnb people, they do cater to, hey, every and anybody. Hey, what you got? How much you got? Okay, bring it on here. You can stay in my bedroom for like a weekend.
Yeah, but
So-
even in that sector, also you have a lot of variety, right? So even in the vacation rentals, there's a lot. There's high end villas, you know. There's little. So again, I think you would have to focus on enforcement when it comes to what we have to offer, right? Whether it's hotels or vacation rental, anybody, you focus on making sure that that's quality and that the laws are being enforced, taxes are being paid, enforcement. Then you sort of keep the bad players out, let's call it that.
Yeah.
And then on the other side, you review your tourism strategy in terms of who you market to and who you want to invite to come.
That's for sure. That needs to happen ASAP.
It's aggregates. If you start taxing it, they don't have a choice but to up their prices. And then you also filter out. Like, I don't know how to say it nicely. So, like,
No, but that's true, because one of the reasons the vacation rentals or hotels that pay taxes wish for this enforcement is because, hey, we're all paying taxes, and therefore
Yeah.
our rates have to be higher.
Yeah.
And if you were paying
Correcto.
taxes, your rates would also be higher.
Correct.
And then we have a level playing field.
because now people are going to say, oh, it's 300 here at this Airbnb, but it's 550 at the hotel. There's a $200 difference, but that $200 buys me beachfront. I'm right. I don't have to go anywhere. I have a maid that cleans all my room. So how do you offset? Pensando cómo de offset $200 could make it worth, like, what's a bang hotel en vez de Airbnb bijvoorbeeld?
I think those are very personal choices.
Yeah,
I don't think
exactly,
you can-
exactly.
Yes, I think, and again, there's room for both. I
Yeah,
very
I
much defend
agree.
that the customer gets to decide what they prefer, right? So for example, if you're with 5 girlfriends, you may like being in a house because you have a living room together, you can get
Correcto.
together
Yeah.
easier,
More
right? You have breakfast
privacy,
together,
yeah.
yes. Whereas when you're in a hotel, you would have to
parties.
make an appointment to get together in the bar, right?
Yeah.
So I understand that lifestyle change, and our families with little children may prefer having a kitchen. So I think that's a very personal choice, and they both have a right to exist.
Do you have an idea how much money Aruba is losing by not controlling Airbnbs?
Yes, but I'm not sure I would mention it here. But
Okay.
yes, but studies have been done. Yes, and
Okay.
it's a lot. One of the studies that we believe it's at least, and it's even higher than this probably, because it's not just the tourism tax, right? It's also income tax. It's much more than just the
Matt
the
talked
tourism
about it when
levy.
he was
yeah.
here. He said it was a
Yeah.
high number.
Yeah, we believe it's at the very least it's at least 70 million per year. Yeah. Yeah.
You know how many schools and roads you can fix with that?
No, he
A
did.
lot.
He did mention something like in that direction. I remember
Yeah.
when he was here, and he was like, "Hey, listen, there's a lot of money just because there's no control. So there's
So-
a lot of money just running all over the
Yeah.
island."
And the worst part is that
And-
all that money comes in, they stay in the States. Some people have their account in the States, just transfer over there. And
Yeah, some of the owners, right? Some of the owners, and not all, right? Because there's a lot of locals also who own, and
Yeah,
and
of
we
course.
endorse that completely. It should be
course.
an opportunity for the locals, but there are a lot of non-residents who own, and they may own 10 houses, and they live in the U.S. or in Canada or wherever, and then the transaction takes place over there, right?
And
like
Aruba
that
doesn't
money,
see
yeah.
any other
And they don't have
money.
employees that they're paying here or anything.
That's crazy,
They may
huh?
pay a commission to a local property manager. That's
that's
about
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is a lot to unpack.
I know.
I know,
Sorry.
no, we're touching
It's
a lot
a
of
big
cer-
topic. It's a big topic.
It
It
is,
really
it
is,
Yeah.
and it affects everybody.
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 Well, then how does Ahata or just anybody, how can we balance hotel expansion or maybe even Airbnb with protecting the quality of life of the residents then?
Yeah. Well, a couple of things, couple of ways. First of all, you want the sector to be good employers, right?
Yeah.
That's the one thing. You want them to be good employers. If you're a good employer, that means you're taking care of your employees, and therefore they can take care of their families. So that's one. You do them via laws, but you can also do them with just encouragement, right? Like peer encouragement, we call that. We do that a lot in Hata, where we share information with each other. We do salary surveys so people can see where they stand. Am I below that one? Maybe I should pay a little bit more, right? We do things like that for sort of peer influence, if you want to call it that. And then, of course, like I always say, there's a lot of taxes being paid by that sector. How are those taxes used? People forget that, right? So that's really the circle of the economy, right? Like you have economic activity, taxes are being paid, and then with those taxes, you have a government that we elected, by the way. They're there to serve the community. And then they are there to help solve those social issues with those funds that are generated by the economy that we've all contributed to, right? Because when we
Yeah.
go out to eat, we've paid into that. We've all contributed to that. So then that government can use those funds. And then you have a lot of charities, right? There's a lot of, because by the way, I remember, I went to that conference of Common Good, and I would like to say Common Good existed way and way before this conference, right? Common Good has been on this island for a very long time. And you can see it especially in not a lot of these nonprofits that are very passionate, hardworking people that give their lives to these efforts, right?
We just interviewed Rendel van Tricht.
But he's a great example. Stichting Huntu.
Yeah,
Great example.
great
They do
guy.
great things. Now they
Yeah.
get subsidies from the government, but they also need help from other people to help keep them going
Exactly.
and do all
talked
that they
about
want
this
to
earlier,
do. You know, because they do, and those so good employers like hotel sectors and
Yeah.
other sectors should then also help financially support some of these
Exactly.
organizations.
Yeah.
You know, that's how you can give back.
Especially those who want to invest in downtown, make it a motto. If you're listening, dude, make sure like anybody who invests in the contract says you have to put a percentage towards junto pa ayuda ko abulante ng like whatever downtown that's like people are breaking in or people less fortunate that junto has a little bit of fund from downtown people to help them get better. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I think it doesn't have to only be downtown people. We should all contribute. I
It's
think
all
we
over,
all,
yeah.
yes, I think we should
But
all
I'm just
remember.
forcing that specifically
I
because
understand.
everybody's like downtown. I'm like,
No,
cool.
we get it. We get it.
All right,
No,
cool.
and I agree with you that sometimes also, because I agree with that for the private sector too, we can't just complain. We need to be part of the solution,
agree.
right? We need to participate in the solution. I agree with that. But I think that's one way. I mean, I think the biggest issue right now is the development side of things. You know, we talked earlier about the tourism, right? And
Yeah.
we have the current government right now, or the prime minister right now, is saying that we don't want to have a dialogue with them.
I was
about
actually
it.
about to ask you, but that was gonna be my next. I was waiting for a spot to put it in, but yeah. So what's going on over
Sorry,
here?
I'm being proactive.
No, you're good. You're good. But
No,
we did have a meeting with we
An
did do
interview.
an interview with him.
Yeah.
And that was kind of like one of the leads on. There hasn't been any dialogue, you know, that you all are like kind of like pushing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Not
heard,
that- that you
I
don't
heard
wanna
him
sit.
say that. I heard him
Yeah.
say that in your. I do follow No Filter.
Come through,
Yeah,
come
this-
through.
this-
I, got,
Come
hey, I have to say this. That I know you do follow, and also Ronella as well. Like she
Yeah.
were like randomly text, "Hey, great episode." I'm like,
Yeah,
wait,
yeah.
what? You
Yeah, yeah,
watch?
yeah.
Love it, love
You
it.
guys
awesome.
are relevant. You're
Thank
relevant.
you. Yay.
I don't know if you're the most popular, but you're relevant.
That doesn't matter.
I'll vote
It doesn't
for you.
matter.
Listen.
I'll vote for you.
What about me?
ABC.
He's the one who claimed. He's the
Yeah.
one who claimed.
I
yeah.
mean, people prove it, so I don't care. It is what it is.
Hey, listen, it's all about consistency, huh? 6 years. You can be popular today,
Yeah.
but in 6 years, will you be popular? I don't know. We're still
just
here.
saying.
Well, talk about consistency. Your relationship as two friends is very consistent, and that's a beautiful thing.
It is. Thank you.
Thank
Talk about dialogue and collaboration.
Yeah.
For sure.
Here it is.
Usa, pero
The-
it is.
Ah,
what
yeah,
it
yeah.
is.
Well,
Sorry.
all relationships have moments
That's
where there's
it. That's the
strain.
balance. That's the balance.
It's how you overcome it. So speaking of
sorry.
that, speaking of dialogue,
yeah, dialogue.
So I do expect the prime minister to tell the truth.
Ooh.
So this is what happened. Let me try to shorten it. So we had individual meetings as of June last year with hotel general managers and the prime minister. Individual meetings, each hotel, sort of like speed dating, right? Like one-on-one, like that, where he basically got to share some of his vision, some of his goals. And I would like to say again, we actually agree with most of those goals, but we may not necessarily agree with the method trying to achieve those goals, that means that's where dialogue is required. So after that, there was a mention that he wanted to do like a social national dialogue with hotel general managers on some of the issues addressing Aruba. And for the biggest goal was to put a pause on hotel room development.
Okay.
So here's an example of something where we go, okay, we agree, we understand that goal, and we agree with that goal, right?
A lot of people will agree.
And a lot of people
Yeah,
would agree,
yeah.
exactly. So nothing wrong with that goal. However, what we said was two things. You should also include condo buildings, right? Because they're also popping up like mushrooms all over the place. And they end up becoming hotel
yes,
rooms.
they are
Yeah.
very much.
Yeah, got rental, right?
Everybody's
Rent
like,
it
buy a
out.
condo, and then they tell you, but you can also Airbnb and make your money back.
Exactly. So that's one. And the second thing we said is, if you're going to have a dialogue about pausing development, you need to have it with the investor,
Yeah.
not with the hotel general. The hotel general manager is
Is
an
an
employee
employee.
who's
Yeah.
in charge of operations of a
Yeah.
hotel. They are not the ones who decide whether more rooms are built or new rooms are built
Makes
or
sense.
whatever. So you need to sit with the developer that, by the way, your government or another government gave the permit to. So these are developers that already have these permits that the government gave them years ago. And you want to now sit with them to negotiate a way out of them developing in the next few years, which we would help endorse, meaning help make sure those conversations take place. But we're telling you those conversations need to take place with that investor,
Yeah.
and not with the hotel GM. That's all we said.
Do it
And
with
then-
the
and
owner,
the-
not the employee.
Yes, do it
Correct.
with the guy who's actually spending the money on
Because
it.
the person who's the GM can be, hey, what's up, man? Stop developing a banda. The owner's gonna be like, excuse me.
Who are you?
I'll
I'm
find a new
paying your
GM.
salary. Like,
I'll
you're
find a new
fired.
GM.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
So all we're saying is talk to the relevant people. And then any other topic, and as a matter of fact, we then also invited the Prime Minister to a meeting with the board of AHATA So we had this meeting, and I can't even remember what month, October or November, I think. We actually had a meeting.
Okay.
So it's not true that we haven't sat down. But we are mostly talking about, and I've sat with him a few times,
Yeah.
and we had another meeting where I brought a few general managers to the ministerat, to the government office. So we've had a couple of meetings. Most of those meetings, however, instead of being actual social dialogue, have been about how we believe a social dialogue should take place. We believe if it's dialogue and not a monologue, if it's dialogue, then both parties that are participating, or three parties that are participating, have a say in the topics, in the dates, in who's invited,
Yeah.
right? That kind of thing. That's all we're saying. If you're determining a date, which is like from today to tomorrow, you're determining the agenda, you're determining who's invited, it's not a dialogue in our mind,
You're
right?
not
That's
respecting.
dictatorship.
I was about to say that, and also you're not respecting the other people's time, or like,
You're not
hey,
respecting
cancel whatever you
anything.
have
We're
tomorrow.
busy. Remember, we are working, creating
Yeah.
income, right? We're creating that income for the island. So we're working every day.
Been doing it
And-
since the 50s.
Yes, we have.
We've been busy.
I've
What
been
are you
following,
talking
I've been following my
about?
dad's
Yes.
footsteps.
Which, by the way, the success of the industry is all these employees that for thousands and thousands of years have given their heart to this industry. We even in August 2025 sent a
She came with the receipts today.
Yeah,
I
she
can't
was
receive-
like,
I'm like,
hold
what?
up.
timelines, receipts.
Hey.
We gave a proposal
Okay, what is
which-
this proposal about?
about how we can do the national dialogue, right? And we included the topics he wanted to have meetings with us
Okay.
about. But then we also added topics that we think are of importance, like education, right? Fixing the roads and things like that we think are of high priority. Because if you want an island where we are transitioning to a higher value and lower volume,
Infrastructure.
then
also
you
has to
need
be-
their infrastructure to be in good shape. The island needs to have, the wastewater treatment plant has to be updated. The roads have to
True.
be in good shape. And we agree with his desire to plant trees all over, right? Like, and makes Aruba look good.
Yeah.
Yes. But
Sorry, the whole water thing, water plant. How long have you been talking about this already?
yes, I know.
As in, like,
It's so urgent.
no, but everybody's. I've been hearing this for years now.
Yeah.
Even like not this past election, one before that, they were already talking about it. Still, nothing's being done.
Yeah.
And
Well,
it's crazy. It's really crazy. We
'Cause-
see what happens every time we get massive rain. I mean, thank God we don't get rain like that.
yeah, rain is
pero-
the danger. Yeah, rain is the danger. It's a very fragile situation. I'm very careful with words I use because
course.
but
don't wanna get you in trouble.
I know, no, only because you don't want it, people to really, really know what's happening. If you know what I mean.
I don't. Tell me.
Don't you know? Yeah.
I got
So
tinfoil hats if you
it's
want
a
to wear
very
it. Conspiracy
fragile.
theories.
It's a very fragile situation. So
Yeah.
our concern, of course, is when it rains,
Mm-hmm.
especially. I will say that they did create a new company under Utilities NV that is now in charge of this. So I would like to believe that when you have a company whose sole purpose is to take care of this, that there's a chance that they can super focus on it and do it
Are
right.
they?
So, well, all I can tell you is that there's new leadership now since the new government.
Okay.
So I have to, at this point, give them a chance.
Okay.
Right? We got a presentation by them, and the presentation was pretty good. The sad part was that we're starting over, right?
Yeah.
Because the
But that's
previous
something normal.
the previous government had another plan.
Yeah.
So now we have a new plan, but it does sound like a good plan, I
But
have
then
to say.
how long does it take for the plans to get executed? Because again, it's not like, yeah, you are coming in new, but doesn't mean that we don't have research on how this is supposed to go. So you're not supposed to come in and be like, okay, well, delete all the research. We're going to do our own research from ground zero. No, professionals work on all this information already, so it's already here. So
Yeah.
I don't think it should take you 3 years before you can actually get something started.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that's what happens a lot in Aruba. Same with UTV regulation, right? The previous government was working on UTV regulation. They had a committee. And apparently, what I heard was that they were
Ursel,
almost,
right?
that was under Ursel
Ursel, yeah.
Adams. From what I heard, they were very close to finally getting to a legislation. And then the new government came and we're starting over, right? There's like a new committee, there's a new, yeah. So these are the unfortunate things that happen when we have government changes. And, we are agreed with you. We wish we would just see action at this point. But the thing is, it can't just be action. It has to be proper action.
Proper,
Right?
correct.
It has to be something that actually makes a difference.
Isn't that the $20 every tourist is paying going towards this company?
It's going to that company, correct?
So they got funds.
They got
as
funds.
well.
That
got
and
funds.
but we had a conversation. We don't have to talk about it now, but we had a conversation on the radio, like when it's like auditing things, like who's auditing the church when the money comes in, like whole different conversation. Another episode, but is there somebody controlling or watching the funds that those $20 is somebody seeing, okay, it's actually going to this NVA or whatever?
Well, I have to say again, I do have to defend in that sense that when the new government came in, that's what they wanted to double check, right?
Okay.
One of the things they wanted to double check is when they come in, there's this
All
new
the money.
company now, and there's
Yeah.
all this money flowing there.
Yeah.
Let's make sure it's set up properly. Let's make sure the finances are being handled properly. So I do understand, and I think we should understand, but we're still sort of waiting right now to see what action is actually being taken in terms of fixing the actual problem.
It's been over
Can
a
we
year
talk?
now.
Who can we
Yeah.
talk to regarding that?
I'll tell you off.
Okay, off camera, good, no problem.
Yeah, but I mean,
we're coming for you.
The government has been seated for like a year now.
I
Yeah.
know.
I don't think again.
And sorry,
It shouldn't be taking this
It's been a
long.
year already.
That's what I'm saying. So I can't excuse certain things too often.
I kind of cut you off with that dialogue thing, so let me go back.
You've
to
been
that.
cutting off.
Yeah, yeah,
that's
I'm
okay.
sorry.
That's
I'm
okay.
sorry.
No, isn't that what you do? Isn't that
No,
normal?
thank you.
See, she watches the show.
God damn.
Because listen, otherwise we'll just keep going, and that question is like, well, we're way past that now, so I have to cut in and ask a question. So.
Absolutely. I'll take
All right,
it.
so-
No, I just wanted to show that we have been absolutely always been willing to have dialogue. All we've said is that if you want to talk about the room development, that has to happen with the investor. We've encouraged them. We've said we'll help you set up the meetings. You know, they can fly in, you can fly out, whatever you want, we'll set it up. But every other topic, we are willing to sit down. And then we can, come together and sort of plan how that dialogue would take place. But then what happens is every time it's like he just sets a meeting, sets an agenda, and invites. And we keep going, no, that's not how it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be we together determine the agenda. We believe it's still a democracy in Aruba.
Yeah.
And that dialogue means that all the participants get to have a say in the agenda and the days. The agenda and the dates.
Make sure it works for
That's
everybody.
really what's happening.
Yeah.
And then I believe what he's trying to say out there is that we are just saying no, no, no. But that's what I'm hearing him say, and that's just not true.
so basically-
We're just saying rules need to be followed.
So basically, the perspective of he's trying to portray is like, I'm trying my best to talk to them, but they don't want to talk to me.
That's what he's
Yeah.
saying, and we don't. And that is not the truth. And I have proof.
You have proof.
And I have proof, and I can show the meetings that we had with him. So we just believe at this one, it just looks like
Mike,
there's
not butong kanya do.
no, I didn't say that. I didn't say that.
He's
You're
what
not
I'm
saying
saying-
the truth.
he's
If you're
playing
not
with-
saying the truth, you a liar.
He's playing with words.
He's playing with
He's playing
words.
with
That's
words.
a liar where I'm from, okay?
The thing-
San Nicolas, that's a liar.
Because think about it. The word hotel is generic. So when he says hotels no que reunir, hotels no que dialogar, hotel is a building, right? All I'm saying is that the hotel GMs are saying room development not with me. Talk to the hotel owner for that. So that's right? They both have the word hotel in there. So I think he's playing with words and
It's
he's trying to make us
wordplay.
look bad. And I think that
It's
politicians often will do this. They try to discredit you. When they don't agree with you, they try to discredit you. And that's what he's trying to do. And I find that very unfortunate because overall, I've been normally with ministers, we've asked for meetings, we get meetings, we show up at the meetings. They've been pretty good. I feel like they've been open. We're working on solutions together and we would like to. We would very much like to be part of the conversation.
You're
and part
sitting
of the
here.
solution.
That already shows
Yes.
you're not
Yeah.
closed off the conversation.
Yeah,
and-
we want to be part of the solution. But we do believe that in a democracy, dialogue takes place in a certain way.
Absolutely.
I almost want to say like, her father's been doing this since the 50s. Like your father's been doing this way before any government. And then you're continuing, kind of like a continuation of what
It's a nice thing. It was
Yeah.
nice to come back into this industry because actually the first part of my career was not in this industry, right?
Go watch the old
And,
episode, guys. We talked about journalists.
Yeah.
Just before we forget, every Monday and Friday, it's No Filter Eats. Link in description so you can find out way more information. Ow.
But so it is nice to sort of come back to Aruba and to sort of care. But we're in a totally different point right now. My dad, who helped start the tourism industry, would also not be happy with where we're
was gonna ask
standing
that,
today.
yeah.
My father, when he was sort of first in those days, we didn't call it minister. It was diputado de turismo. He was the first. But then after that, he was gezaghebber, right? And as gezaghebber, he would sign permits. He would actually sign business permits in those days, and like late 50s, early 60s. And early 60s. And he would agree that you need to sort of determine how many you need. He would agree that if I have too many of video producers, we should not give more permits for more video producers. Do you know what I mean? Or if
Yeah.
we have too many hotels, we shouldn't give more permits for hotels
Cap,
or
it makes
restaurants
total
or
sense. Yeah.
whatever, lawyers, bureaus, whatever.
But then I'm thinking about Omar Steve right now. And then wouldn't that like contradict a little bit with capitalism? Like everybody deserves a fair opportunity.
I do believe in free market.
Yeah.
I do believe in free market, but I do believe that you can design what you want your island to look like, right? So I
Okay.
do believe, and speaking of Le Jouet, for example, there is when a lot of people talk, I believe, about saturation in terms of development, right? Whether it's condos or hotel rooms, most people are talking about Eagle Beach and Palm Beach. I think overall, most people would agree that if you have small hotels in Oranjestad or small hotels in San Nicolas, that's not a bad thing, right? That small boutiques, that may not be a bad thing. I think most of the time people are feeling like Eagle Beach and Palm Beach are sort of overdeveloped. Yeah.
Correct. Maybe a way would be, for example, because the whole free market situation, and let's say you have 20 restaurant permits, and now we've reached the cap. Maybe you put in a way like, hey, listen, we don't need 25 Italian restaurants. Like 10 is okay. It kind of forces people to come up with, okay, there's already 10 Italians. Like, okay, what other options do I have to start a restaurant? Okay, there's no, I don't know, Korean restaurant. And then you open a Korean restaurant.
Well, I think it's, because you're making me think, I'm philosophizing now, right? Like, this is what I think. Because I actually think, because it's true, I do believe in a free market, right? I believe in a good free market, a good economy. And then with those funds that generates, the government can help people, right?
Correct.
So I think that in the end, when we talked about how can we make sure that we are basically not controlling the growth of the volume of the tourists, that's how you then also go back and affect what the free market does to address it, right? So because right now, if we just keep growing volume, everybody's like, I want a piece of that growing pie, right?
Everybody wants to rent the car.
Exactly. So everybody gets, good point. You know, people are also copy pasting a lot, right? Like, oh, that looks good. Let me also do the same thing.
Me get 10 auto.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Whereas if you get to the point, and I know this may sound strange to some
Welcome
people,
to No Filter, girl.
but
Say it.
I know.
Say it.
But if you get to the point where sort of like it is known that Aruba is, sort of trying not to get the pie to grow anymore, then the investor also has to pivot, right? And all through history, investors have pivoted.
Yep.
Things become obsolete. Things become obsolete, and you figure out something else to do, right? There's many things that were successful for a time and no longer were successful. And then you pivot and you find something else to do with whatever you have available to you. So the investors in the free market reacts also to certain shifts, but that can only happen if you make certain you still need to make strategic decisions for your island. What does my island look like?
And I mean, I feel like people overthink how investors probably think. They're investors, so they're probably in a whole bunch of other different markets that Aruba isn't even thinking about. So maybe even approaching them would be the best option, because they might be like, oh, okay, well, did y'all hear about this thing? Maybe we should then, never mind the hotel version, but let's just go in this direction.
For example. Well, and yes, because that's why you need to have honest conversations, just one-on-one. Just sit with them, say, look, I'm having a problem on my island. Aruba needs to catch up, right? There's a lot of things we need to do. Have this conversation. So yes, I agree that
He's
has to
too
be a
scared to
one-on-one
have the conversation.
And you have to have a negotiation. Well, I think they're not easy conversations, because remember, they have a legal right? The government has given them permits. So they have a legal right. But so that's when you have to have a very sincere, open, egos aside.
Human empathy,
Egos aside, that's the hardest part. Everybody needs to put their ego aside and just go, guys, we have a problem. How do we address it? What do you need? If I can guarantee you this, would you then be willing to wait 4 years? I don't know. I'm making up how the conversation can go.
Can they say no? Like, for example, if Mike goes to one, hey, listen, instead we'll stop. I need you to stop doing this, and this. Can the investor go like, nope, I already have my contract in place, and I'm going to continue?
If they have every single permit in place,
can they
theoretically they could probably end up in court, maybe, right? Like, but if they have everything in place, then they should, yes. Then they would proceed, right? But if there may be some permits they don't have, I don't know, because remember, you need a lot of steps, right?
Yeah.
You need unpaffing, you need, and then the DTE has to come and check your building, and there's a lot of steps that the government is involved in. So I honestly don't know. It's very hard to give you the details. All I know is that the only way you're going to resolve it is by sitting one-on-one with the person who wants to invest and already has a legal right to do so. That's the reason also. If they didn't already have a legal right, it's a totally different conversation, right? You just announce the moratorium and it's over.
Yeah.
But these are people that got a legal right from the government. And I know that what the Prime Minister says is, yes, I know that it was given by the government, but now we need to determine what to do for the future. I agree. But then you, the one who gave the permit, is the one that has to go sit down now with the person you gave the permit to and make this negotiation happen.
Accountability.
That's the word I was looking for. Take accountability for your actions.
Yeah.
So, Tissa, let me ask you this. If you have to look at 20 years from now, what to you does a healthy and a successful tourism module look like?
Oh, I love that.
20,
So-
it's 2035. How does
yeah,
it look like?
2035. Oh, what will I be doing? Where what will I be doing? I'll be retired, but where?
Let's get it.
So I believe it would be that we would have. This is my ideal, right? This is
give
not
it
what I
to
think
you.
will happen. This is like my dream scenario. Is that we have limited the number of units we have available on the island, and we have sort of renovated them all into sort of. So let's call it almost. I'm going to be very dramatic. Fewer units that are larger and more luxurious.
Yes.
Right.
Take 2 rooms, break the wall, make it 1 room.
For example, right?
Yeah.
Like you take 2 your rooms, you break it down, you have just one
Occupancy,
huge
100%.
suite, with a much so I simplify a lot just for effect. I'm not pretending that this is science, right? But so you sort of, if you take 2 rooms, now it becomes twice the size, but you triple the price. Right, because it's sort of a luxurious product. So that's how you then sort of start limiting, who's coming, how many people are coming, but you're offering a really good product. But then along with that, we have fixed our roads, we have beautified the island, we have optimal service. Also, remember, with sort of a limited number of guests, you can give better service, right? Because we do have a labor shortage.
Yes.
So you can give a better service. We have optimal service. We have a well-organized beach with enough palapas for people to use, because vacation rental people are fighting with hotel guests for palapas, right? And then locals obviously want access too, because they have every right to it. By the way, I never deny that, because it is a public beach. So, but what you want is to avoid fight. So instead of us fighting with each other, which we're doing now, we're all fighting like what is the right thing to do. Why aren't we avoiding fights? Why aren't we coming up with solutions together where we're avoiding not only our fights, but the tourists fighting and the locals fighting with tourists? Why would we not want to avoid that? So create a solution where if you have not as many people at the same time on the island, so all the cruise ship people and the vacation rental people and the hotel people all on the same beach at the same time, control that volume. Organized palapa areas, so a little more palapa areas, so they're not all going to the hotels trying to fight for that palapa, but
Maybe
you have
Eagle
other
Beach a
areas.
little bit.
More on Eagle Beach, more at Arashi, I don't know where. Like, you don't want to overcrowd all of the places,
course.
but you want a nice Bushiri. Bushiri, they're developing that area now. Put some palapas there. The cruise ship people can go there. So my point is just you need to have a plan. You need to have a vision. You have to have an organization, and then you have to have the infrastructure to support it so that there's enough for the people who are coming. So in 2035, we would have these nice palapa areas. We would have bathrooms for people, right? Not on the beach, in cement areas, or not on the white beach.
Kind of like
at least.
public, like so anybody on the beach can go
public,
take a,
exactly. We'd have nice parking, not cement. I'm not saying nobody wants more asphalt than cement, but just nicely organized so we look neat. And then we have a high level of service because we have the people that can dedicate themselves, and we're not sort of overpowered by a high volume of people. And we have a nice luxury product that we're offering. I believe it's possible. I know it sounds like a fantasy and it sounds simple.
That sounds fantastic.
But you need incentives to convince the
Investors.
investors to do that kind of direction. One of the things I talk a lot about when we have meetings about investment funds in general on the island, I always say, like, we don't really need more investors in the tourism industry right now, right? Unless they're just, like I said, converting sort of a lower quality, let's call it, to a higher quality, right? But we do need our investors who solve our problems, like senior living, senior care.
100%. We talk
These
about
are
this
the
a lot.
investors we need on parking lots, parking buildings.
was
Why aren't we
about
going
to say.
up? Affordable housing,
Yeah.
right? These are the investors we need. But to attract that, you need to offer incentives because the ROI on those kinds of investments are slower and smaller. So then you need to offer incentives so you can attract that investor. So I believe, even though it sounds like fantasy, I believe it's possible.
I mean, it doesn't sound unrealistic.
At all.
You have a wall, break it, boom. Now you have a bigger room. Maybe make it like a 2-bedroom hotel room instead of a studio. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or install more palapas.
I'm not an
Very
investor, so the investor may tell me that this is, you know what I mean?
It doesn't
That
make sense for me financially.
Exactly. I don't
Yeah.
know. It's just my fantasy. It's my wish.
Listen, I do agree with you. I do like the idea, especially coming from working in luxury for 9 years. That's kind of a lot of what they want. Like sometimes even the guests tell you, they're like, these rooms are so small. Like it's beautiful, but it's just it's like cramped, living room's right there. This is right there. That my bed is right there. Like,
Yeah, that's how we built it, right? Like, because remember, our infrastructure is also from when we started in the 50s and the 80s. So it's also at the time, that's what it looked like, right? So that's why it would require a whole new investment now to change that concept. That's why I know what I'm asking for is a lot. But that is how it was built in those days.
well, not really, because if we're saying that we want to attract this type of tourism, they are luxury. So
Yes, but if you
And
look
if-
at the newer, because the other thing you can tell from if you look at the hotel data, the performance data that I publish every month, the ADR has gone up, which is the average daily rate, which is the rate that you actually charge for the sold room average for the island has gone up. And it's because the hotels that did open in the last years, are of a higher value. And they do have like a larger, more luxurious room, for example. And they are what we call pulling up our rates. Because they have a higher rate, they're able to, the whole market can sort of raise up. So in that sense, it had a positive effect. But as you can see, the occupancy is dropping because we're sharing the same number of people. But it's not, so actually, if you look at the hotel sector, they're actually following the formula that we discussed earlier. They're actually following the formula of fewer people, but higher value.
make more money.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
So, guys, hotels are not our problems.
Well, they're not to blame.
Yeah.
No.
It's just like when we go and protest, for example, the visitor and the tourist is not to blame. When you look at even UTVs that we're still talking about UTVs,
Yeah.
about how many years. But that tourist who rented the UTV, it's not his fault or her fault, right? We're the one who offered it. We're the one that have it available to offer for them to rent. So we cannot blame them. They're sitting under a palapa on the beach. They just paid lots of money to come to the island, and they're
It's
just
true.
enjoying the beach. It's not their fault, right? We're the ones who have the responsibility to take care of our own place.
So, what kind of safeguards are in place to, like, obviously talking about investors and more developments? What safeguards are in place to protect Aruba's environment and coastlines from overdevelopment? Because obviously, in the whole north, you can look at San Nicolas now as well. They're making a new condo by Baby Beach,
Rogers, all of those.
and that whole part going down is Airbnbs.
Yep.
And I'm pretty sure at some point that whole area is gonna get even worse.
Yeah,
I kind of
that's-
told Dangi about this, like the whole beautification of that area, and I kind of said, like, I don't remember if I told him exactly or I said it in an episode, but I told him, did you beautify it for the actual area, or did you beautify it so that the new condos have a higher value of, instead of selling it for 200,000, I can sell it for 400,000.
Oh.
Because there is a
wow.
tennis court there, there's a parking lot there. Like, that's how I saw it. I'm like, nice beautification. Now, me as a developer,
I'm not sure they had that kind of foresight.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, so I can see way further on the government. Let's go. But anyways,
Well, I think most of us do, because most politicians are just, within that term that they're looking, right?
what can I do
Most
in
of
4
the
years?
time, most of the time, yeah.
so back to the
But
questions.
I think zoning laws, obviously. So we need good zoning laws, and I know they're working on a new Arupa.
Oh, really? Oh, because it's expiring next year?
2025.
Wait,
the
what?
the previous Arupa that we had was 2020 from 2021 to 2025. So it's technically expired. So I know they're working on a new Arupa. So zoning laws are important. We haven't
I can do
seen
some
it yet.
things.
We haven't seen it yet, but I know they are working on it. So that's one. We need more environmental laws.
I'll be very upset if they say you can go second floors in my area. I'm just saying that right now.
Yeah. Hey, I just want more road. I just want the roads fixed at this point.
Yeah.
The
same.
potholes, my poor car.
Yeah.
But and I think the other thing, so environmental laws, zoning laws, and then what you do have is that the Aruba Conservation Foundation, right? There are more areas now that are being protected, right? That is growing, and that's actually a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Aruba has done more and more in protecting. And I know ACF is heavily busy with continued, and what I like about ACF is they do it science-based, right? That the decisions they make are based on scientific research, right? Like on actual facts, which I appreciate.
Not their opinion and emotions.
It's not just emotion, right? Of course, the emotion is there in terms of the love for nature.
of course,
Yeah,
of
but
course.
it's not, the decisions are not based on
But I
that.
hope they don't change anything in my
Bonaire has
area.
a lot of areas
Yeah.
that
Oh,
they took over, like protected.
they did a good
That's
job. I
good.
went to Bonaire, I forget how long ago, a year ago or so, and it was interesting how
How long? I thought you were going to say like 5-6 years
No,
ago.
no, it was like a
Oh,
year or
like
two
last
ago.
year.
A year or two ago, and it was because we went with a boat, right, to go swimming, and they really had a very well regulated, right? There's these buoys, and you're only allowed one boat per buoy, and you can only go there if
Klein
you're at a
Bonaire.
buoy.
Klein Bonaire.
Yeah, it was a Klein Bonaire.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
went swimming there, and it was very interesting because you could actually tell people are like, oh, you need to come quickly because you need to get the buoy, but everybody followed the rules.
Yeah.
We couldn't go just because there was already a boat there. So they were like, nah, so we
Yeah.
had to go anchor somewhere else.
Yeah.
So they really respected, like,
yes, because with enforcement, you learn to respect the law.
It's true.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the two islands, Curacao when I saw Aruba, I'm like, damn, we can't be like that. So let's start putting laws in place now.
we need to.
But Bonaire did it early, you know. Bonaire has
did.
been doing it for a long time.
Because they really
Yeah.
protect their sea.
Yeah, and
we went
but
scuba
nature in
diving.
general.
Yeah.
Nature in general, they're
Yeah.
very big. Even with Boy,
Yeah.
like, they was like, nah, we fighting for the airport. We fighting for all these type of things because,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
So, come on.
I really,
Aruba, we got
I really
this.
hope that they don't, like the other side of the island where it's like very desert. I hope things don't get out of hand. Na comienza a arreglar cositas lang off. I saw somewhere a while ago, maybe last year, on Facebook, somebody was trying to sell a piece of land. That back part of the island, I was like, what the fuck? Like, what?
I saw that, but I believe that part, if the Arupa, I believe that part is what we call groen gebied, like a nature area,
which in
and
front of
that
my
they're
house that I'm
not
building is
allowed
groen gebied.
to.
Oh, I'm
so I'm pretty sure if it's the same one that I saw, I'm pretty sure that was one where you weren't, because I do know of a couple of people that bought a piece of land thinking they could develop it, and it turned out it was in groen gebied. So that shows you again that a zoning law works.
Somebody
right,
bought a
if you
piece of
have it.
land and it was groen gebied?
Well, they didn't realize it was groen gebied, right?
Uh-huh.
So then they got sort of stuck with it.
Scammed?
Yeah. No, well, no.
not
You have
scam,
to
but,
do
like, imagine.
due diligence. You need to do due diligence.
Like,
right?
Yeah.
what? Wait,
Yeah.
because I bought it to build a house or something on it, and then you're telling
No,
me.
well, well, it's commercial development. I think is the issue, right? That you
Okay.
that for a hotel or something like that.
Okay,
Yeah.
but they can build a house.
Honestly, I don't know. I honestly cannot speak.
But
All I know
imagine
is
like Saudi,
Yeah.
Yeah,
great
no.
land, but
Yeah.
groen gebied. What?
yeah,
They-
I
they-
do
they
know.
go
You can
over-
put a shack on it.
Yeah.
You know, you can sell like a soda from here.
Above,
Like-
in front of my house, the one that I'm building,
Yeah.
it's groen gebied. So when I found out, I was so happy. I was like,
Yes,
there's
'cause
only one house you can build diagonally across, but in front
Yeah.
of me, mounted like cactus is super beautiful. So
Yeah.
I'm very happy to hear
And,
that.
yeah, and the thing is that there was a court case recently where the verdict was, and again, don't ask me details because I didn't read the whole verdict. But so I'm speaking superficially
yeah.
here. But that I believe that what it said was that the real estate company does have an obligation to disclose something like that, right? Like that you need to know if you're going to buy this, that you cannot develop on it or whatever.
Okay,
So
good.
that was
Yeah,
a pretty
yeah.
recent court case. Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, shady stuff.
A lot of shady shit.
Well, yeah. It may not have been intentional.
So what's some other things that maybe we could have missed? There has to be some more information that you could have just not talked about because I know we touched.
we could go on forever. Right?
No, I mean listen, we got time. We got like 20 more minutes. No
What do you
problem.
worry about?
We already covered a lot of the stuff, like the
Okay.
whole tourism, the over tourism, the part of like protecting the coastline, or like how do we control the kind of people that come in here? How do you
What
market?
are these about?
Oh, those.
This was to show what I was telling you guys about, that how the
Those are receipts.
visitor nights of the vacation rental grew by 91% and the
Yeah.
hotels 2%. And this was just sort of general. I thought maybe you would ask me statistics, and I was afraid to not know it off the top of
She
my
was
head.
like, you're not going to catch
I
me
came with
slipping.
everything I need just to make sure I get the right
So
answers.
here's a good one.
Educate us, Tisa. Educate us.
So tourists arrive. This is 2025, right? Tourist arrivals grew by 6.6%. This is arrivals for overnight stays. That doesn't even count cruise ships because we haven't really talked much about that
Yeah.
either.
Yeah.
Because that's how you dump a lot more people on the island at the same time, right? But so it's about 1.5 million people that came in 2025.
The last I heard it was
1.5.
1.2, and that was like
Yeah,
2 years
indeed,
ago.
that was actually more like 2018.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
and then cruise ship passengers were 970,000.
Damn.
Hotel occupancy went down by 6.5% compared to 2024, right? You remember I explained that
Yeah,
earlier?
yeah.
The ADR went up by 12%. So this is what I mean when they are actually following, I don't know if by design, but we are following that, what we talk about value over volume, where the
Yeah.
occupancy is going down,
Less
but the
people,
ADR is
but
going
the
up.
spending is going higher.
The spending is going up. Exactly.
But then,
exactly.
then what's gonna? Well, then your perfect scenario makes sense then, because then like, oh look, there's people coming, we can make the rooms a little bit bigger, and people,
But it's a huge investment to do that, right? Like the money you have to. So that's what people don't appreciate about investors. They're risking their own money, right? They're putting a bunch of money into something and waiting to see if
Not
that
to know-
turns
not
into
know if
profit.
it's gonna work or not.
Yeah, exactly. And that takes risk. I mean, I talk to entrepreneurs almost every day who talk about how hard they work. I talked to one yesterday. How much work it is. You guys know. I mean, you know, it's not an overnight thing. You
Oh,
work
no way.
really hard to gain some traction, and people forget that, right? And investors, and this is their job. Their only job is, I'm giving you my money to risk it to do this thing with, and I'm hoping to make money off of
Yeah.
it later, right?
Yeah.
That's their job. That's their salary.
I like what you just
So
said just
then-
now. It takes a long time just to build attraction, but it's an instant to lose everything.
Yes, it is correct.
Which is crazy. I'm just thinking about it. I'm just thinking
Which
about
is
that
why
right
tourism
now.
is so fragile.
Yeah.
That's why tourism is so fragile, right? Like one bad thing can make COVID, great example. A short-term, so hotel ADR 12%, occupancy down 6.5%. Short-term vacation rental occupancy, so this is not the nights now, just occupancy compared to 2024, went up by 13%. But there the ADR went down 11%. So it's the opposite there, right?
That's
so
what you don't want.
Exactly, you want that to be reversed. So that to me, what that tells me is that most of the growth in the vacation rental sector from 2024 to 2025 came in the lower value, right? And you want to reverse that. You
People are
want it to
spending
grow in the
less.
higher value.
So instead of
Exactly.
staying in a hotel, which could be like, I don't know, 500 a night, and I'm being very generous, it's an Airbnb with like, oh, look, $100 per noche.
No, but it could also be, there are also high value vacation rentals, right?
I know, but
No,
like,
but
Yeah.
that's the thing with vacation rentals. They range
Very big range.
so
Yeah.
differently.
Very big
you can
range.
find from $50
Yeah.
to like,
You got
Yeah.
1,500
everything
a
is
night.
available there.
So what this shows me is that most of the growth for that to happen, that means most of the growth came in the lower value. And the other thing to know is that when you look at the ADR for vacation rental, you're talking multiple bedrooms.
yeah.
When you're looking at an ADR for a hotel, which was like $409, that's for one bedroom.
Yeah.
But when you're looking at 362 for vacation rental, that's like an average of 3 bedrooms. So it's really down. So it's like 120, right? So
And
that's what
that
people
is like
don't
they'll
understand.
split between 3 people. So if it's
Yeah,
$100
depending on how much
That's
they
for
are.
each
exactly.
person.
That's
Because
what
it could be also
exactly.
6 couples. So then it's like,
Even
Yes,
$50
exactly.
a person.
they're like, oh,
Exactly.
cheaper.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
So
that's
we-
why I say bedrooms, right?
Of
Because it's
course,
like,
yeah.
And then the only other one, since you asked me, is that this I can only do for the first half of 2025 because the tourism spending information comes late, right? The central bank releases that late. So I can only look at the first half of 2025. The tourism arrivals grew by 3.3% and the spending grew by 1.6%. And what you really want is for the spending to grow more than the arrivals if you want to really go for value instead of volume. So that's the premise.
So, who do we hold accountable for things like this? Is it something that you're saying that the public should be more aware so they can hold the correct people up responsible? Are we saying then the government is who should be able to be like, hey, no, we should be more transparent and spread this information? Like, who should we be holding accountable?
I would say that that Aruba is going through a transformation, right? That Aruba is now going to hold up. We need to do something
Of
different.
course.
So I think we need to. It's very hard to make the community responsible, even though it is, right? The community also says, I
That's
don't
why,
want this.
yeah.
Yeah. It is ultimately, right? It's through the community that we know that there's this sentiment that exists, right? That there's been overdevelopment and everything. But on the other hand, you need the people who are doing the work to do that work. And I will say that I believe the conversations I've had in my dialogue with the Minister of Tourism, that there is a vision there. And they're working on that vision, and they're working on a collaborative vision also. So they have a vision of their own. They're communicating, and they are asking stakeholders to participate in this conversation. And then they were going to, let's say, complete the vision. And then with that new plan, I believe we can then create new goals, let's put it that way, right? And then with these new goals, you can start holding people accountable.
Okay.
So I do have hope. I'm very positive right now about the process that the Minister of Tourism and his advisors are planning and taking very soon, from what I understand. Yeah,
Logan, there is hope.
yeah,
Fingers crossed.
yeah.
Fingers
All right.
crossed.
I think we got a lot of information today.
Tisa definitely
Yeah.
does it all the time.
I got one. Well, if I was going to ask this earlier, but I like to cut people off, so I didn't do it. But back to your dad. If your dad was alive today, what would he say about where Aruba is right now? Take your time.
My dad would want there to be less antagonism, less us versus them, less monologuing, fewer short-term decisions, to have a vision, collaborative, long-term plan, and then follow that plan. So sort of, do, I used to work at a hotel where we had a lot of certifications, right? Quality certifications and environmental certifications. And what you learn, the basics of certifications is you write down what you do and you do what you write down, right? Meaning you commit to it. You just commit to it and you keep doing it. And that's the same with a plan for Aruba. So he would say, everybody stop fighting, get together.
Let's build a structure.
Let's build a structure democratically. Build a structure, follow that plan, and follow it through. We all are caring too much about sort of personal images. We all want to be right. Everybody wants to be right all the time. And at this point, it's sort of like, it's too late for that now, right? Like, let's put all that, that's what I meant with egos aside. Put all of that aside and just say, we have a problem here. How do we want to figure this out together? What's the solution? And then stick with that plan, because we have been talking a long time about UTV regulation. We've been talking a long time about vacation rental regulation and enforcement. We've been talking a long time about what should we do with tourism. Nature protection. We've been talking, and we just talk and talk and talk and talk. So he would want us to do. My father was of the generation that believed that government, he did understand and appreciate that government is there to serve. Government is there to serve. We elect them to serve us, the community. And they have a responsibility towards us. And sometimes that means that they may make a decision that we don't understand yet or we don't like yet. So sometimes you make a decision that may make you afraid that they will not re-elect you, for example, right? But that it's the right thing to do for the island. And then the government's responsibility is to then explain it to the community why they made such a decision.
Do you feel like there's anybody right now in government that's doing that?
Well, I don't want to, because I try to, my work is already too close to politics, but I try, honestly, I try to be apolitical because I really am not a fan, of being in the world of politics directly. So that would be very political for me to start,
of course,
but are there? Yes. I do believe that there are ministers and politicians that are, there for the right reasons. And I think even the ones that don't always handle it the right way started with a good motive, right? Started with good intentions. But I believe how you handle things and how you communicate with people, that the methods you use to reach a goal also matter.
Consistency, y'all, please.
I wish there was a way that's like going back to like continuing something that's good for Aruba. So for example, if MAP started something, I could be like, hey, what's that? It's a bong initiative, ban sigili. That's why during the election time, we were asking all of them, kiko to un plan ko MAP pala katras ko decidi ko tatal mo ideya. And all of them did give one answer, like, was that sakita agobong? They give credit to the person.
Did you write them down so we can check if they're doing them?
Let's
go back.
Guys,
and
go look it back. This is why the show is here.
here.
We're here to put it on film, so you guys can go and check for us, all right?
Fair
Just
enough.
comment down below. Pero I wish that was like not a law into place, but like, ora algo misako, like, buting obligasyon di sigili, If that makes any sense.
If it's the right plan, right? So
Of
I
course.
understand it when you come in, you want to look at it first. I totally grant them that. I get it. Because you don't know if it's a good plan. You need to review it first.
Do you feel,
But don't drop it just because it was another party.
correct. And do you feel like, because buting to the otro manera, Ponsong, buting Atia, buting all those other small groups, buting Ahata, buting Ata, I feel like you guys are your own little thing over here, and the government is over here. You try to find a way to work.
We want to work together. So here's another example right now talking about dialogue. We were invited to another dialogue this week. And the Atia Ahata, and I don't want to speak for them, but Atia Ahata, Kua, and WAP, which is the contractors, and we got together and said, yes. So again, yes, we want to participate. But if we're going to discuss a topic and you're sending us documents to read, give us time to read the documents. So don't send me the documents yesterday and expect me to come tomorrow, right? Because we do have meetings all day. We do work. We do our busy.
You guys have free time, right?
So exactly. So that's all we're
Sarcastically, guys.
saying. So we want to be clear. None of us are saying we don't want dialogue. All we're saying
Proper
is
planning.
give me time to check out this topic and check out the documents.
Review, sit
And
with
if
your
there's a new
lawyers.
law, I want to read the law. Don't present it to me in a meeting and I have to say yes or no. Send it to me. Let me read it. Sit with my lawyer. Get some advice, and then you do a meeting.
Come with
That's
your
all we're saying.
concerns.
A proper system is all we're asking for.
And
I
fair.
wonder.
Yeah,
That's
just to be fair. We believe that we honestly believe that our requests are rational, normal requests.
1000%.
It's sort of like, give me time to read
y'all
the
are not
papers.
crazy.
Right, but that's right. They make you feel like
yeah,
you are.
let me
They
just
make you
remind
feel like
y'all
you
I'm
are.
not
Yeah,
crazy
yeah.
because that is
Yeah.
normal.
So we do the employers organizations or commerce organizations. We do often collaborate on things like that because sometimes it's easier to sit down together and say, do you agree? Do you not agree? And we do work together.
I
Yes.
feel like you guys, this is a better way to ask it. Do you think if all you guys sat together as like, imagine one big board, and do you think better decision and faster decisions can be taken if you guys sat together and ran the island compared to a government?
Oh, if private, of course, from my perspective, I always believe private sector run things. Everybody knows the government doesn't know how to do maintenance, for example, right?
Yeah.
Like in private sector, we plan and and then we follow through, right? And then we do maintenance and then we
get our hands dirty.
Yeah, so I always believe, as a matter of fact, in the vacation rental discussion we've had for years about enforcement of the taxes, people in the private sector in the vacation rental business have said to them, let me do it for you. Pay me a fee and let me do it for you.
Yeah,
I'll do
yeah.
it for you, right?
Yeah.
So, of course, we're going to believe that private sector is better at sort of management and making decisions and getting things done because we are only looking at efficiencies, productivity, positive results, right?
Yes.
What we want is results. And this is what we mean with the dialogue. What I've said also is the advice that we've given to the government or the prime minister on how to hold dialogue, I would give to him if I worked for him too. I'm not giving that advice because of where I work now. I would give him the same advice if I worked for him because it's about how do you do a process for it to be productive.
Yep.
And that's how private sector thinks. Do I know I think we would get really frustrated though if we would have to be in charge of public sector.
Listen,
No, but I just think like,
would be different.
yeah, but I think it would be so much better and faster decisions can be taken because everybody has an expertise in their area. Politicians, no offense to anybody, you guys can always come here and defend yourself, but all you know is politics, laws, which is great. You can, let's say, everybody can sit together, you guys have data, you guys have, make fast decisions, and everybody is surrounded by lawyers and let them advise you, but politicians, all you know is politics, or not many of them come from the private
And
sector.
they don't even, not all of them even know politics correctly either.
Yeah,
So,
or business
well.
101.
But I will defend them now a little
Okay,
bit
go for it.
because I will say that I will agree that they haven't necessarily run a business, right? So understanding those deficiencies,
Not all.
productivity, and all of that. Yeah, a lot of them haven't, exactly, not all. But you can be an intelligent person that can do their homework and surround yourself with good advisors and then make proper
important.
decisions based on the right amount of input that you take. What we want to avoid is that you take decisions not based on actual data, but on stories. That's what we don't want. What I see too often is that they come and tell me, no, but yesterday this lady told me, okay,
Yeah.
wait, that's not facts, right? That's a
No.
story. That's
and
anecdotal.
she might be lying. Like, we don't know.
Well, yeah, right. I don't know the whole story,
yeah.
right? I haven't exactly. So what we do? So if you take a scientific approach in terms of you take in data, then you get good advisors and you listen to all of them, and then you make a decision. And you're an intelligent person that has a good heart. And I do believe, like I said, most of them. I have to believe that ultimately they want to help the island. If you keep focusing on helping the island and not just your own career, right? But you're helping the island and you're making all that decision based on that, they can do it. They can do it.
I mean, it's like, I think we had this conversation with Randall Van Trek last week, but it was based on everything is not, you have to physically know how to do the job.
Mike, sure.
It's about, it's about really knowing how to manage people, how to put the right person in the right position to
Also,
do the
yes,
job.
which is also private sector.
If I
as well.
can't do it,
Yeah.
I'm not going to fight and be like, oh, let me be the one to do it. No, I
Yes.
can't do it. There's a professional in this field.
And this is what I hear in public sector a lot too. Every time we talk about enforcement on something, whatever the topic in public sector, I always say, no matter which department they go, I don't have enough people. And like, how is it possible that Aruba has more public servants than any other country per capita, but we don't have enough people? So then that, to me, all I can conclude without seeing it myself
You don't have the right
is that
person.
the people that you have working in that department are either not productive, right? They're either
efficient.
not productive, which I can't believe, or they're just not positioned in the right seats, right? Like you were just saying. So it's all about, but if your revenue comes from here or your productivity comes from here, that's the area you need to load up with your productive employees. So this is something we can't figure out. It's very hard for us to understand that. Very
and
hard.
proper spending. Did I talk about the same
Proper
thing as
spending.
well?
By the way, they have a lot of money right now.
Yep.
The government has a lot of money right now.
Hopefully they don't.
They
From
do have to
what?
pay off debt. They do have to pay off debt, obviously.
But
What money do they
yeah.
have now? Like, where is this money from? This from the surplus?
There's a lot of surpluses. So the government budget, the tax revenue is much higher than they budgeted, right? So a lot more taxes were paid than they expected.
That's good for them.
Yeah, exactly.
Hopefully it goes in the right places.
And then there's surplus. SVB has a surplus. AZV has a surplus. all the other sort of semi-public or public entities have surpluses also.
Okay.
So it's kind of like, again, going back on Randall, like even he said they used to have like, I think a contract with expert company paying 600,000, for example. Like, why are we paying this much for? They cut the spending and give it to other stichting,
Yeah.
Oh,
and they give another stichting to cook food. So a catering service, we're paying catering service 600,000 a year. I'm like, no, I'm gonna pay this stichting who actually needs money for the same thing, and
yeah.
for half the money.
The thing is that I don't know those. It's hard for me to comment when I don't know.
The
course.
I don't know
information.
the details. Yeah, see, this is what I don't want to do. This is what they would do,
yeah.
and this is what I don't want to
But
do.
what I mean is like you use the money you have, the surplus you have efficiently. Like make sure you put it in the right places that are actually going to produce something or
Yes.
help something in the area. Like,
Yes.
but dapat pala alguien ko Olivia like
Yeah, not a band-aid. Yes,
know?
I get you. I agree with that. We no band-aids. We need actual solutions. And I believe Stichting Junto is a great example of an organization that is working on real
100%.
solutions.
Yeah.
100%.
Again, long term, it's not
Yeah.
sexy, right?
know.
It's not a fun area.
6
It's
years,
hard work. It's hard work, and it has a long-term goal. But it's the right goal.
Yeah.
The right method.
all right. You got anything else you want to add?
I think that's it.
And-
Shark, that
This
I
has
didn't
been
even let
great.
you speak, no?
No, this is good. This is good. Okay, because
No.
again, we need the people to understand certain things, and who better from someone from your caliber in your area to really bring these
data.
conversations
Yeah.
forward to like. Because again, we're the island, and you've even called us out for spreading the wrong information or like
Yeah. Yeah.
saying.
Well, your guests say things you don't know,
Of
right?
course.
Yeah.
So you're just standing on certain
That's why I
things,
brought receipts.
And that's why you're here today. So by all means, we very, very much appreciate, again, like we
Yes.
always say, do not be a stranger.
Thank you.
You're always
Thank
welcome.
you so much.
No, I
I
think
appreciate you guys.
I want to say almost like every 6 months you should be coming back.
Fair
Just to get
enough.
an
Goes
good
quickly.
update.
You're gonna get
It
tired
does.
of
I
me.
know.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm telling you, like we just like 2.5 years. It feels like you were on this show like last year
I
or
know
a year
it-
and a half
I
ago.
know. It flies.
Yeah, 100%,
Yeah, it
100%. So, Lisa, thank you once again for coming back. We hope to see you. You know what? I think you should come back at end of the year,
Okay.
after or beginning of next year, after our political season. So we're
That's
gonna
in November.
So November, December.
Oh, you're doing okay.
So every year now,
Oh.
every year, November, December is a political season. We say that all the ministers
okay.
and some politicians
That's smart.
and say, what have you done this year? That's basically the name of the show.
Yeah, okay.
Kibas 2027, Kibas 2028.
Okay. Good.
And then we
Yeah.
just hold them accountable because we already did it last year. And we're going to look back and then
Yeah.
come back this year and, hey,
That's great.
so we're going to
Compare.
hold you
That's
accountable.
great.
And
Yeah.
then we'll bring you, we'll bring Bonsong, we'll bring anybody else that wants to come. And then you got out with the pains, I'll call back escucha.
That's great. I'll have to make time to listen, watch all of them.
That's
Pearl,
okay.
You got this.
All
You
right,
got
guys. Thanks for watching this episode, and we'll see you next week. Ayo. Bye.
Thank you.